Hello there! Today we're going to have a little bit of fun creating biscuit shaped coasters using air dry clay. The project was completed in 2 short sessions, but it's the perfect activity to enjoy with friends. If you love this one, drop us a comment below and tell us which other biscuits you'd love to see turned into coasters. So grab a cup of tea and a few materials and let's dive in. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video where we'll go through all of the products we've used. Let's start with a classic, the chopped chip cookie. Grab a clean palette and a block of clay. Divide the block into 4 equal parts using your palette knife, then wrap up the unused portions to keep them soft. Take your first piece and roll it into a ball. Press it down over the cork coaster to form the base shape. You might be wondering, why aren't we rolling this out into a nice flat circle? Well, real biscuits, especially chopped chip cookies, are never perfectly flat. At this stage, we're just aiming to cover the cork. Use your palette knife to flatten the top slightly. This gives your mug a solid base and leaves you with a bit of clay to make the chopped chips. Next, use a palette knife to add some textured grooves on top. Smooth it over with a damp finger. For the chopped chips, roll out the remaining clay and cut it into small uneven chunks and press these into the surface of your cookie. Do a quick mug test just to make sure the mug sits nicely on top. If you've made it this far into the video, head over to our website where we've shared a cheeky chocolate chip cookie recipe just for you. Let us know if you find it and be sure to share a photo if you make a batch. Then set it aside to dry. Next up, the pink sprinkle cookie. Take another portion of clay and cut off a small section before pressing it over the cork coaster. Using something with a rounded edge, press scalloped shapes into the border, then trim the edge with a palette knife. Smooth it, dip the end of a paintbrush in water and run it along the sides. These usually use a flower-shaped cutter, but since we're going big here, refining the shape by hand works just fine. Now for the icing. Roll out some clay, flatten it into a rough shape and press it onto the top. No need for perfection here, just smooth it in with your finger and a little bit of water. Be careful not to overdo the water or you'll end up with a slippery mess. Use your brush to soften the edge of the icing. To make the hundreds and thousands or sprinkles for our overseas friends, roll out a super thin clay rope. Chop it into tiny bits, then press them randomly into the icing. This takes a bit of time, so make sure your tea is still warm. It's repetitive but surprisingly calming. A little mindful crafting moment. Do you remember fairy bread? When was the last time you had some? Do a final mug test to check the coaster sits flat, then set it aside to dry. Let's move on to a jam drop. Flatten another portion of clay over a cork coaster, smoothing it out evenly. Use a small round object, I've used a cup, to press a circular dent into the middle. Cut out the centre shape and scoop out a little bit of clay to make room for the jam. Use the back of your palette knife or brush to roughen up the texture. We want that classic jammy look. Then carve in the iconic lines into the jam using your knife, smoothing with a brush afterwards. Quick mug check and we're done. And finally, my favourite, the humble chocolate digestive. Perfect with a cuppa and a chat with Nan. Like before, press the clay over the cork and roll it flat. Draw an 8x8 grid and use your palette knife to mark out the indents. Soften them gently with a damp brush. If you go too far, just redefine the lines with your knife. Once it's looking good, finish with a gentle mug test and set it aside to dry. Drying time can range from 24 hours to 3 days, depending on how thick your coasters are and the humidity. Be patient and make sure they're fully dry before painting. Once dry, we need to seal the coasters. Here's a handy trick. Mix equal parts of craft glue, also called PVA glue, and water. The clay will absorb this thin mixture, sealing the surface from within. For painting, we'll be using a satin acrylic intro set, a palette, a tear-off sheet to protect our workspace, and of course some brushes. Use a plastic cup to mix the glue and water sealer, and then we just need a brush to apply it. Once dry, we'll mix two base tones. The first is a deep umber from white, lemon yellow, orange, scarlet and black. The second is a warm golden biscuit tone. Just add more yellow, orange and white to the first mix. Apply the darker tone into the crevices of the chopped chip and jam drop biscuits. Once this is touch dry, use a dry brush to scrub on the lighter tone over the top, keeping the dark bits in the grooves. For the jam, mix scarlet red with a touch of medium green to make a deep crimson. Once dry, layer pure scarlet on top to highlight the surface. For a rich chocolate colour, mix scarlet, lemon yellow, phthalo blue, medium green and a bit of black. Adjust until you get a deep chocolatey tone, then apply it with a wide brush. For the pink icing, simply mix scarlet and white, paint it over and let it dry. To create the pastel sprinkles, take tiny amounts of white, yellow, orange, green and blue and mix each one with a little bit of white and paint them on in small dots. And there you have it. Grab a cuppa and a real biscuit and enjoy your brand new coasters. If you'd like to give this project a go, here's what you'll need. A tear-off paper palette, some air hardening modelling clay, and we used one 500 gram block, something to roll out the clay, a rolling pin, glass or a wine bottle works, a palette knife, some brushes and some water, and of course some cork backing. We used 2mm pre-cut cork. Well, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this crafty little project. Don't forget to check out the chopped chip cookie recipe on our website and let us know how your cookies turned out. Stay tuned for more fun ideas and we'll see you in the next one.